Hello and welcome to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on a GTX 1070Ti that's been overclocked with a i7 8700K that's been boosted to 4.7 GHz and 32 gigabytes of DDR4 that is at a speed of 3600 MHz. I'll show you my afterburner settings here, and this gets me about 8 to 10 FPS extra on average, so it's definitely worth doing for me. And I've got an aftermarket GPU cooler on, so it keeps it basically below 60 or at 60 at all times, so it's pretty good. And I've got the game on epic settings, and it's not, I don't think it's the best looking game. I think it looks really good in the cutscenes, but there's an actual boss battle that happens that halfway through it cuts to a cutscene and the graphics suddenly get way better, and then when it comes out the cutscene the graphics suddenly get way worse, which is quite funny. And but yeah, it looks pretty nice overall. I think the hair looks really good. The hair looks really good, especially when it's blowing in the wind. And I'm getting 60 frames per second most of the time. The game does seem to stutter quite a bit, and that's usually when you're going from area to area, and it's quite noticeable. And I mean, at least it doesn't happen during combat. It's just from area to area, so it's not a big deal. It's just a bit irritating considering the game runs pretty well. I mean, EA games are usually well optimized. I mean, Battlefield 5, sorry, for me, doesn't really run very well, but usually EA games run really well. Titanfall, Battlefront runs really well, and so I was expecting it to run pretty well, and it does. So I've beaten the game. It took me 2 days to beat the game. 14 hours, so you're just seeing footage of me running about afterwards, just trying to get 100%, and it takes about 20 hours to get 100%, so I'm not really sure where the whole 20 hours to beat the campaign and 30 hours to beat everything comes from. I think I'm just a really fast player, even though I do take my time. I mean, by the time I'd beaten the game, I'd done about 85% of everything, I think. Yeah, about that, 85% of the every planet explored, if not more. So, I definitely looked around quite a lot. I guess reviewers are just slow. I don't know, it's very strange. Or they've got a very slow stopwatch. And so when I beat the game, I was like, that's the end? As soon as I saw someone in mind, I'm not going to spoil it, I was like, okay, this is the end. I know this is the end. And it's kind of got that. If you played Shadow of Mordor, the final battle is basically just a quick time event, which is a real shame. It's not as big of a deal, but it's still kind of... I was like, this is kind of weird how they've just done the quick time event for the final boss, even though it's not really... Because there's something that happens before that, so it makes it less of a blow, but I'm surprised I haven't seen people complaining about it. And I don't think it's as good as everyone is saying. I did like it. Definitely worth a buy. Maybe wait until it's on sale a little bit, because it was £55 in the UK, which is an awful lot. I would say if you're in the UK, if it goes to 40 quid or less, I'd definitely pick it up. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely fun. It's a lot of fun. I just think it's very basic. Very basic. I'm definitely interested in a sequel now, where hopefully, if they do make a sequel, and hopefully it sells well, that they can just kind of take the rails off and do a lot more with it, because I think they were playing it very safe with this. The combat it's very basic. There's not a lot of skills. You get 3 skills, and that's about it. You get force push, force pull, and stop, and that's it. And I'm like, I was really hoping it would open up. Like, I was hoping it would do that thing, and wait, there's more, and then it all opens up, but no, it just ends. And so, the skill tree makes it seem like there's going to be a lot more skills than there are, and there isn't, which is a real shame. There's no lightning. I mean, I'm not a Star Wars person. I must admit that first and foremost. I've seen the original 3 from the 70s. I saw them on VHS, so I got the proper experience of that. I haven't seen the prequels, and I've seen Force Awakens, and that's it. So I guess I'm more of a Star Trek person. I think growing up, I watched all of the Next Generation, and quite a few of the Star Trek movies, which I quite like a lot. But yeah, I've seen glimpses of the prequels on TV, and I immediately like, oh god, this looks terrible. But maybe one day I'll watch it. But I'm not a Star Wars person. I love the universe. I love the sound effects. I just love the sound effects. But you know, I'm not like a die-hard fan. I don't really know a lot of the lore or anything, to be fair. And I think this game has a real lack of boss fights. And the boss fights that are in the game are pretty unmemorable. I think the problem with Star Wars, and again, because I don't know a lot about Star Wars, is that there isn't a huge variety of enemies. I don't know. I don't know how much they can do with it. But the boss fights, there are. Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 3 or 4 good boss fights in the entire game. There's loads of boss fights that aren't really boss fights. They're just normal enemies that have got a different skin. And they're like, oh, it's a rare version of this normal enemy. And it's not, I wouldn't really call it a boss, to be fair. And there's an ATST, two-legged walker type thing. And I don't really think that's a boss. But there aren't a lot of story bosses. There's a lot of side optional bosses that aren't really bosses. But the story bosses are pretty good. They're actually really good, and they're challenging. They're not difficult, they're challenging. You feel like you have to put up a fight, but they're not hard. I played the game on Jedi Master difficulty, and I think that was probably just about right. I think the problem is that it's a bit too easy when you're fighting bog standard enemies, but it's just the right amount of challenge when you're fighting the bosses. So you could put it up to Grand Master, which I believe is the hardest difficulty, but then it might just be a bit annoying. It's hard to know what is the right difficulty setting to play it on. I think Jedi Knight is the normal difficulty, and I haven't played that, but I probably wouldn't recommend playing on that difficulty. It's probably a bit too easy, but I don't know. Speaking of enemies, the AI on the basic enemies is dreadful. They have no spatial awareness. They're blind and deaf as anything. They just, even if you're literally right above them and you're like waving your lightsaber around, they won't see you. The AI is very, very, very dumb. The hardest challenge I had was at basically the beginning of the game, and was fighting this kind of frog type creature, and it took me many attempts to kill him. But that was because I didn't have my stims yet. The game doesn't give you your stims until a certain point in the game, and I hadn't got to that point yet. And I just thought, okay, there's no healing in this game. You just got to, try and not die and then rest to get your health back. But so I spent ages trying to kill this frog because I didn't have any healing items. Which brings me to another point of, the game is like, if you don't do it my way, you're not doing it at all. The game is very, very restrictive in terms of level design, in terms of the way you've got to complete stuff. If you don't do it the exact way the game wants you to, you will fail, even if it would have worked. Even if it does work, the game will fade to black and put you back. Even if you literally made the jump in the way you made it, it's like, nope, go back, do it the way we want you to. So that was very disappointing. And there's a part in here in the footage that I might actually show you, but you can clearly see there's a bit we need to jump down, and you can see the floor, and you clearly see the floor is going to fall. So I'm like, aha, I'll jump to the side of it where the planks aren't. It doesn't matter. Even if you jump to the side of it, you will fall through the floor. It's madness. And the game definitely feels very underpolished. I think it could have done with a few more months in the oven. It's just oddities that you wouldn't expect from a AAA game that has... I thought this game would be a lot more polished, especially from Respawn. There's just very, very strange oddities. If you open a chest underwater, it plays the animation of BD1 going inside the chest, and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Rummaging around, even though he doesn't get off your chest when you're underwater. So it's just little oddities that make me think, like, they played this and was clearly like, okay, what's important? We need to get this out. Like, EA were rushing them, and they were like, okay, we don't need to fix this. This is not very important to fix this. We just need to get it out. And so they just didn't. They knew about it, but they didn't fix it. Like, also, he talks underwater, and I'm like, how is he talking underwater? Like, you've got the water rebreather. Maybe you can talk with one of those on. I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know. It seems a bit odd if you can. And there's like lots of little other oddities, like when you're walking along a tightrope type thing, he'll sometimes clearly be off of it, and he won't fall because they haven't done the pathing right for it. It's very, very, very strange kind of stuff. I'm saying a lot of bad things about this just because they kind of stick out in my mind. But the game is fun. It's fun. It's definitely worth a playthrough. The combat is basic, but it's very repetitive. I've got to be honest. The combat is very repetitive. It does feel cool when you do stuff cool, when you do cool things, but it's very basic. It's a lot of just mashing X because you don't have enough force energy. That's another problem. The game doesn't give you enough force energy to let you use the cool stuff, and that kind of gets fixed later on when you get a skill that lets you use your stim canisters to get your force energy back. But before that, you just feel like you're running out of force energy all the time, and you don't have enough to use the cool abilities, and so you just end up resorting to using your very basic X attack. I played it with a controller. It does seem to play well with a mouse and keyboard. I played it with mouse and keyboard for a little bit, and I thought, yeah, I could play this. Play this just fine. And but I've heard other reports, people saying, no, it's unplayable. But usually I'm like, these games are unplayable, and when I played it with a mouse and keyboard, I thought, that's fine. I can play this just fine. Feels pretty good to play with the mouse and keyboard. I'm going to say a lot of my critiques with this game because I think everyone else is just basically saying how amazing this game is. I saw someone saying it's their game of the generation, and I went, are we playing the same game? This is definitely not game of the generation. Like, they were saying, oh, the looping level design is amazing. And I'm like, the level design is one of my most infuriating points with this game. You can't fast travel to any of the meditation spots, so it makes exploring these levels to try and 100% it a pain in the bum. It's not fun. And coming back to the whole, you must do it the way the game wants you to, that also refers to the level design. You cannot take shortcuts. If the game does not allow you to take that shortcut, it will just fade to black and say, fail, go back and respawn you, you know, which is really, really annoying. And there's lots of points of no return where you can't go back, and you're like, oh, fuck's sake, I shouldn't have jumped down here, and then you can't go back, and you've got to go all the way around the fucking level again. And the map, I didn't actually think the map was that bad at first, but the problem is, it's not the map, it's the UI in the map. The text that says what location it is you're looking at doesn't update properly. So even if you're looking at that place on the map, it will say it's a different part of the map, which really confused me at first, because I went, this isn't that part. Even though I'm looking at it, you just need to fiddle around with it until it recognizes what part of the map you're looking at. So yeah, exploration is not great in this. I personally wouldn't recommend going back through it to get all of the secrets. I would just, once you've beaten it, that's it, done. Don't keep playing it, because for me, when I beat it, I was quite happy with it. I was like, yeah, this is for me, it's I don't like scores, but it's a strong 7 out of 10. And now that I've continued playing it, trying to get 100%, I'm like, oh, fuck this game. And it's just like, oh, it's so infuriating going back through it. It makes you see a lot of the problems with it, so I wouldn't recommend even bothering. It's not even worth doing it. It's just a couple of cosmetic shit. It's not worth it. There's nothing. There's no meaningful side stuff apart from one bit on Sifu. There's one meaningful side bit, and that's it. Yeah, on the crash site place. and that's it. So I wouldn't recommend going back through the areas again, personally. Also, the story is fucking naff. It's completely naff. It feels like it's only just about to get going when it ends. They introduce a character, and then the game ends. I'm like, well, this character is the most interesting character in the game, and the game just ends. I'm like, I wanted to explore the galaxy with this person, and the game has just ended before you can even do anything with that person. And yeah, it definitely feels like part one of a game. It feels like when the ending cutscene happens, you're like, all right, let's go. Oh, it ended. Because you're just like, let's go. Oh, there's the credits. Okay. It wasn't a short game, and to be honest with you, if it had been like double the length, for instance, I probably would have got bored of it. The combat. I liked platforming. The platforming's fun. There's a lot of cool, crazy stuff in it that I didn't expect, but I don't think they do enough with it. I don't think there's enough of a challenge to the platforming. I was hoping there would be like some crazy kind of long platforming bits at, you know, towards the end or halfway through, where the game would actually put your platforming tests to the skill. And I guess maybe they didn't do that because some people get really annoyed with platforming, but I feel like I would have liked that. I mean, if you remember like Assassin's Creed 2, for instance, there were some like awesome platforming puzzles in that game that were huge and long and really put you to the test. And usually you'd fall off because the controls weren't precise enough, but still, if you know what I mean. I was hoping there would be like some really long platforming sections where you'd have to really get your timing good, but there's none of that in the game, unfortunately. But what there is fun. I will say the momentum is off. You can't sprint jump. If you try and jump from sprinting, there's no momentum gain. You do the same jump you would do as if you were just walking, and it's really weird. You just feel like you're screeching to a halt when you go from sprint to jump. You expect to jump way further, and you don't. So, yeah, I'm like, and you can't sprint when you're locking on as well. I would say the combat is at its best when you're fighting humanoids, like a one-on-one humanoid. So the actual boss fights, the story boss fights where you're fighting on a one-on-one humanoid, they're the best. That's the best part of the game. Those are the best combat parts of the game. Fighting the creatures isn't great because they will spin in place. You know, if you play Dark Souls 2, like the huge enemies will just spin in place like a fucking record player. And but I will say one thing, hitboxes, very good. Way better than fucking From Software's hitboxes. If you saw my video on Sekiro, my word, those were fucking dreadful hitboxes. There's a boss fight that has like a grab attack that has a dodgy hitbox, and that was one of the only places where I saw a bad hitbox in the game. Like, if you jump out the way of it, the boss will literally just pull you down, even though you've clearly jumped out of the way. It will just teleport you into the grab. So I'm pretty impressed with the hitboxes, to be fair. But I guess the hitboxes aren't that big of an issue in this game because it's not crazy difficult. You know, if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, then the hitboxes being bad would be an issue. But if you're just playing on normal or hard, hitboxes are really good. Really good. Which, to me, makes it even more fucking embarrassing for From Software, considering they've made billions of these fucking things. How the fuck have Respawn done it on their first attempt? I guess because there isn't a huge amount of enemy variety, and so they could really focus on getting the hitboxes good for those enemies. But to be fair, Sekiro didn't have a huge amount of any enemy variety either. So it's not really an excuse, because From Software is supposed to be, you know, veterans of this genre, and so yeah, it's pretty embarrassing for From Software. So those are some of my thoughts on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I liked it, and that's about it. I liked it. It's a fine game. It's a game. I can say that for a fact. It's a fucking game, which is fucking more than some games are these fucking days. It's very gamey. It kind of feels like it's from the previous generation, you know, like a 2009 kind of game. You know, it's a mixture of Metroid, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, and Dark Souls. The combat's Dark Souls, the platforming is Uncharted, Tomb Raider-y, and the exploration is Metroid. That's just a perfect way of explaining it with a Star Wars skin on it. So I hope for more if they do a sequel. Just more depth. The game is very, very basic. The game lacks a lot of substance. And I was wanting more from it in the mechanics area, because it just felt very repetitive. If you played it, for long enough, you'd just be like, okay, I'm getting bored of this combat now. Everything else felt satisfying. Platforming, exploration, story, crap, characters, crap, apart from one or two here or there, which I'm not going to say because of spoilers. One, they didn't flesh out enough because the game ends before they can, and there needs to be more boss fights, more interesting story boss fights, because I feel like that would probably help with the repetitiveness. I think repetitivity isn't a word. Repetitiveness of the combat would help. So, yeah, definitely glad I played it. And I don't regret buying it. I'm definitely glad I played it. Probably been harsh, but that's because it's much easier to say what you don't like. And I think I'm just being devil's advocate because everyone else seems to think it's the bee's knees. I guess because we haven't had a good Star Wars game in ages. So one that comes out that's even vaguely decent, people are like, oh my god, it's the best thing I've ever played. But it's not. And I think that's a big problem with games at the moment. Everything is so shit that even a slight ounce of goodness people think it's the best thing ever. And so, yeah, I think that just says the state of games right now. And it runs pretty well. However, stuttering is an issue, and some people have been having major stuttering problems where it drops to like 20 frames. So definitely think about that if you're gonna end up buying it. Just maybe wait until if they can fix the stuttering, because the game has had an update. The game updated before I did this, recorded this footage, and it still stutters. So it's not too bad for me. Like I said, it's just when you're going through to like a new area or transitioning to a new area, combat's fine and it runs pretty well. But take it with a grain of salt because there's a million different PC combinations out there. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.